Eminence Xander's Tales is an online trading card game with role-playing elements reimagined for mobile and tablet devices. It's the first of its kind, featuring an explorable world, a unique evolving story, a beautiful art direction, and an engaging social gameplay.
Eminence contains a unique card battle system inspired by the game mechanics such as Triple Triad. You'll go head-to-head with other players in a high-risk strategic game where the winner takes the loser's card. Now imagine a trading card game where you collect cards by outsmarting your opponent.
What makes Eminence special is that it combines the strategic nature of a trading card game with the social and storytelling aspects of a massively multiplayer online role-playing game. So if you're a fan of games such as Zelda, Pokemon, Final Fantasy or Hearthstone, then this is the game for you.
At the heart of the game is an evolving and expanding story available via the single-player campaign. Eminence Xander's Tales is a story about a world torn by war over nature's natural destruction, broken alliances, our constant fight against inner demons and temptations of a darker path. The story takes place in the world of Artemis, which is plagued by a sun that goes through a cycle of rebirth every 10,000 years. You begin the game as the last disciple of a legendary alchemist known as Xander. Xander previously belonged to an ancient civilization known as the Archaics, who lived in a time before the sun's last destruction. Having survived the last event, Xander has lived through centuries using the secrets of ancient cards to end the destructive cycle of death and rebirth. This running concept of death and rebirth will be a prominent theme throughout the story. Things will be asked of the player which will question their own moral beliefs. As the player, you will have to make difficult choices in the game which will ultimately affect the story. Without giving too much away, let's say you were faced with the following question. Will you sacrifice the person that means the most to you to save the world? Or will you accept your fate at the cost of millions of lives? This is only scratching the surface of how deep the Eminence storyline is. All cards belong to a division, which are much like factions from other games. You can collect cards from different divisions to improve your deck and strategies.
These divisions are Eterna, which takes inspiration from medieval fantasy and is a small kingdom that devotes much of its time into the study of science and alchemy. Much like magic is a key craft in the fantasy universe, alchemy is the driving force of the economy of Artemis.
The next division is called Ixian, which is a race inspired by Asian fantasy and mythology. One of the earliest civilizations to develop in Artemis, the people of Ixia are known to be proficient in hand-to-hand combat and are masters of controlling the body's chakra energy, which is another form of alchemy. The latest civilization to develop in Artilis is the Wilkos Empire. Wilkos have heavily invested in the advancement of its technology. They have developed a way to artificially synthesize alchemy into their technology, which has enabled its economy to evolve and grow quicker than the other nations. This form of alchemy is called mecha.
The last division we're going to introduce in the game are called the Hollows. We wanted to introduce a division which drew inspiration from our deepest and darkest fears of things like demons, monsters and evil spirits.
The art style is driven by story. We've taken a unique narrative approach when designing the character cards for Eminence so that they have personality as well as an engaging, immersive story. We also want our players to connect emotionally with our cards.
So when we were developing the art style for the cards, we looked to history for our inspiration. For example, ancient Egypt and their hieroglyphics, as well as stained glass windows in churches. Combining those elements with different genres such as fantasy, Asian culture, Gothic art, as well as cyberpunk and steampunk to create something which is unique and steeped in mythology.
At the base level, Eminence Xander's Tales has 4 explorable zones. You'll also be able to interact with NPCs as well as socialise and challenge other players.
We would absolutely love to create something with a fully explorable world seen in games such as Zelda, Pokemon and Final Fantasy. To create something of this level of detail, we need to hit our stretch goals found at the bottom of our Kickstarter page.
To win a game, a majority of all cards placed on the board must belong to you. And to do this, you have to capture your opponent's cards. To capture cards, you must place your card adjacent to an opponent's card where the rank numbers on both cards will be compared. If the rank on your card is higher, you capture your opponent's card. If your opponent's rank is higher, they'll capture yours. The player with the most captured cards wins the game. The twist is, at the beginning of the game, you will wager how many cards you will potentially lose or gain, up to a maximum of 5.
A single game can be played with many rules. Rule modifiers allow you to change the nature of the game, opening new ways to have challenges. Players can essentially combine rules to engage in a variety of duels. As you advance your skills and rank, you'll gain access to some of the game's more advanced rules and exclusive tournaments.
We always knew we wanted to make a game that felt unique and different. A game that doesn't compromise in complexity and depth simply because it was built for mobile devices.
A game that monetizes respectfully and prioritizes fun over making a few extra dollars. We wanted to give our players the best experience above everything else.
So to find out more about the game, check out the rest of the Kickstarter page or visit our website at www.playeminence.com. We've poured our hearts into creating this game and would like to invite you to join us on our journey in creating Eminence Xander's Tales.